Welcome to Beefmaster Banner. We're your hosts, Josh Morrison, Jared Stricken, along with Dr. Lance Bauer, the EVP of BB, and Miss Hannah Nixon, I'm going to call her marketing director. How are y'all doing?
Doing good. How are you guys?
Doing good. I'm still
Doing
not
good.
sure on your title for sure, but that's what we're going to call it anyways today.
I think I like that better than my official title. We'll go with it.
Well, we know the man that can probably fix some of that.
I
He's
love it.
kicked back like he's in his lazy boy over there right now.
Yeah. Oh,
Think you said you were in an Airbnb?
yeah. Yeah, I am.
Uh, I'm glad to have everybody on. I'll just go ahead and put it out there. Huge announcements at the end of this. It's a great episode, big episode, exciting things happening. But you
So
guys
make sure
stick
you
around to
stay,
the end.
yeah, stay for the end of it, or stay, or
We're got,
stay
we,
for the end of it.
yeah, we've got to keep you on the edge of your seat at least a little while. So, before we get started, I think we'd be remiss without mentioning yesterday. Today is Thursday, September 11th, which we'll know is the anniversary of 9/11, 2001. Um, we can never forget that. But yesterday, a very big tragedy in this country happened, and it's probably one of the biggest tragedies that's happened in a long time. I don't care, and I'll open it up for anybody here to comment too. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. This is more than politics. At some point, we have all got to get together as a country and try to unite. I mean, politics is one thing, but when your hatred for somebody gets so bent that you feel like you need to do what happened yesterday, we have major problems in this country. I feel like as a breed, kind of circling into that, I feel like this is a good time to use as a breed. And let's, all this stuff that we bicker about at the end of the day, we want to, we all want to unite and we want to make this a better place and a better place for generations to come.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree, Josh. I don't want to say much about it, but it's definitely been on my thoughts and a lot since last night, and it's just I don't know. It's hard to really swallow and think about. Knowing he's close to our age and having kids kind of the same age as ours and stuff. It's just I don't know. It's awful to think about, but praying for them, and maybe there'll be a lot of good come from it though eventually, with his legacy and everything. So
Um, Kind of moving into the show tonight after that. Sorry, I kind of depressed everybody there, but felt like it should have been said. So, but we've kind of had, this new world screwworm for a while. Um, Still kind of a new thing, and not long ago saw something about some, I guess, sterile flies. I know absolutely nothing about this, so that I'm going to learn a lot here. Lance, can you kind
so
of tell us some more maybe about it that folks may want to know?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to assume that most of our listeners are a little bit in the younger crowd, but a lot of them probably have parents and grandparents that actually dealt with this exact same screwworm back in the 60s, 50s, 60s. Terrible uh, little pest. This animal, this fly, they call it blowfly, goes and lays its larva in any kind of open wound that there is, and then the larva just eats away at the flesh. So there were all sorts of remedies back in the day to take care of and treat these animals when they got a screwworm, and the government stepped in at that point in time and started making sterile flies in several labs across the United States. They made sterile males, and those males would go out, breed the females. Within the females, the larva wouldn't have any effect. Utilizing this method, we pushed it out of the U.S. all the way down past Panama and past the Darien Gap, which is the quote unquote impassable gap between Panama and Colombia. I'll say this screwworm, they call it the New World screwworm. It's been around, like I said, for a long time. There is an old world screwworm that's fairly similar from kind of what I've read and heard that's in Europe. Um, and so recently, that screwworm has made its way back up through illegal imports of cattle into Mexico from Central American countries. And made its way closer and closer to the U.S. We had our first actual case of screwworm, but it wasn't in animals. It was in a human that had been south of the equator and had an open wound and actually got the screwworm. So it's a threat to everything. I will say that the government has been working very, very hard with Mexico, as well as in the U.S. and really ramped up production in Panama. There's a sterile fly lab down there, so they've ramped up that production. They're converting a fruit fly lab in Mexico to create screwworms, and then it was a week or so ago, I believe that they just announced that they are going to reopen and redo a lab down in South Texas to create these sterile flies. There's some new technologies they're looking at there to create the sterile flies and go get those out. Right now, like I said, it's not in the US yet in cattle. The thing that's kind of worrisome is we're about to hit hurricane season. And if something comes up through Mexico and brings it, it'll come into Texas quicker than we know. The nice thing now that's a little bit different is we've got more intensive management practices than we did back then. A lot more people are seeing their cattle on a day-to-day basis, treating cattle for flies. Um, we talk about ranches and stuff getting broken up and smaller, which in terms of something like this is actually going to be a good thing because those people see their cattle a whole lot more often. They're able to treat it, they're able to monitor the flies a lot better. But we have really worked hard to get this screwworm or to get these sterile flies started back again so that we can get the screwworm under control and hopefully push it back down below where it was.
Nice.
I've really find it interesting how that life cycle of that fly, how the sterile flies actually work is when that female larva lays or female lays those eggs, she dies, well, if she
Yeah.
wasn't fertilized, then it stops that cycle. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So just maybe for folks that don't know, A, what do they need to do to try to prevent it? Obviously, we still have a lot of flies around. B, what if they're concerned they may have some onsets there? Is there even any treatment for it?
So really the biggest thing is just your general fly control that you've been doing. I mean, and that's like I said, that's the good thing about now is we've got a lot more intensive management. We got a lot more chemicals and things that we can treat flies and make sure we treat for flies. Um, I've always used a IGR mineral um, just to break that fly life cycle and knock the flies back. I think that's a good way to go about it. Monitor it. Try to make sure your cattle don't have open wounds. It could be anything as small as like a vaccination site that they can actually get into. If you think you have it, the best thing to do, and this sounds bad, it's going to hit somewhere in the south. It'll probably come in through Texas. That's just kind of the nature of it and the environment that it likes. But if you're in South Texas and you think you've got it, get with your extension agent. They've all been trained on that and trained what to look for. They can tell you where to send samples of those flies and things like that to have them identified. But really, it's about management, making sure you manage your cattle properly, and just keep doing what you're doing. Uh, it will be an issue, but I've talked to some guys that were vets back when screwworm first came over, and they've all said, yeah, it'll be an issue, but it won't be as big as it was just because of the methods that we have now. The other thing, there was a real unique comment from one of those vets who dealt with a lot of eared cattle. He said he never saw it near as much in cattle with Brahmin influence because those cows have that maternal instinct and they lick and lick and lick because the umbilical cord's another place on calves. And so they clean those calves up really, really well. So, we've got a little bred in advantage there for the breed. Um, so, like I said, just keep doing your management practices, keep your eyes on the news. Texas has some things in place that I know of that, if you're familiar with fever tick in Texas, there's quadrants. If you're in a quadrant, sometimes there are quadrants that get quarantined because they've found fever ticks. They're going to do the same thing with these flies, and you're going to have a quarantine period. Um, so I I think we'll get it under control. Um, like I said, U.S. government, Mexican government working together to get stuff done there. I think it's the Mexican government seeing that it's hurt their cattle prices because the border's been closed for so long. It's kind of hurt us too on some of our supply of Mexican cattle coming into the U.S. with the border being closed. So just manage it, watch your cattle, make sure that your cattle are healthy, make sure that you don't have open wounds. That's the biggest thing.
Okay, cool. I mean, I just thought it would be something good to share tonight because it's not something we've really dove into yet, and it's still, I guess, a little bit new to everybody. So, I thought that would be a really good time to kind of get that out there. And some of this stuff will a lot of times scare the life out of people, and rightly so sometimes. But like you said, with the right management, with the right technique, as long as you're, managing your herd like you should be, you shouldn't. It don't sound like you'll have a lot of issue.
Yeah.
As far as kind of rolling into BBU updates, do you have any, or Hannah, do y'all have any you would like to share before we kind of get into our meat potatoes of our episode tonight?
I'll just real quick, I'll hit on a few things. University of Tennessee, we got some really, really good research coming out of them. um, in terms of some fertility, and we're going to keep building on that. I mean, it looks like our heifers are calving right around 2 years of age, 365-day, calving interval throughout their lifetime. I mean, just exactly what we've preached that we've got is a maternal cow. I think we're going to be able to prove that, and then we're going to have them tie some economics into it. So working with them on that, I think that's going in a great direction. If you want to find out more about it, the next thing I'll hit on is our convention. Convention is coming up at the end of October. I want to invite everybody to the convention at the Minger Hotel in San Antonio. Registration is open online. If you have any issues with that, give us a call at the office. The ladies will help you get registered. They'll help you figure out how to get to the hotel, get booked, all of that. It's going to be a really, really good time down there. I think it'll be real neat. I think that they're planning to have a sale on the Alamo Plaza. So really, really good time down there. Good camaraderie. Get to come to the general membership meeting, mingle with other Beefmaster breeders, go to the awards banquet, all sorts of things, educational seminars. Like I said, University of Tennessee will be there. We'll have some people talking about nutrition, repro, grazing management, a variety of topics that we'll talk about there. So make sure you try to get to convention if you can. If you can't, I mentioned the general membership meeting. You should have got a packet in the mail that had a proxy in it. If you cannot get to that meeting, please send that proxy in. Cast your vote. Your vote matters. Cast your vote. Send that in the prepaid envelope so that we have that and we can count your vote, and everybody can help us move this breed forward in the direction that we want to move as a whole. Um, so those are kind of the big things going on at BBU right now, and super excited about October.
Like we've said 100 times, this is the best time to network and get to know your fellow breeders, and it's always a good time. Plenty of activities and fun activities as well, including that sale is gonna be kind of cool on the Alamo deal.
Yeah, that's
It'll
gonna
be
be
awesome.
really fun.
Not to mention it's starting to cool down. And as a non-resident Texan, I'm definitely happy about that.
Especially in South Texas. Real quick, just a few points. Jared, you mentioned you didn't get your packet yet. If you don't get it, call the office.
Yeah.
Don't wait. Don't act, you're probably not the only one that didn't get it. You didn't get singled out. Call the office. We know how the mail is nowadays. So don't think you just didn't get it. Make sure you get yours, and there's plenty to vote on. I looked through mine. I'm planning to attend, so I didn't fill it out, but there is plenty to vote on. So be sure you vote. And Lance and Hannah is so the full registration fee is $300.
Yes.
Um, if someone only comes in for a day, or if they can only come in for a day, do they still need to pay that full registration? Can they just pay by the meal? Can they just how does that work?
Yeah, so there is an option to pay by the meal. You don't have to pay the full registration if you can only come in for one meal. All those meals are individually priced on that application form. So if you can only come in for Friday night or you can only get there, Saturday, still come on out, join us. It'll be a great time. And the other thing I forgot to mention on those packets, in those packets, there should have been a questionnaire for you to fill out to be on committees. I encourage everybody to fill that out, get involved in the committees, see how the breed's working, see where we need to improve, what we can do, ideas that you may have for improvement. I mean, bring them to those committees. That's how everything gets started. It goes through the committee and then to the board and then gets executed.
Absolutely. That's no better way to get involved than to get involved. So that's fantastic. Um, kind of rolling into our meat and potatoes of the episode tonight. We're going to focus mainly on marketing. Um, and that's one of the reasons we have Hannah on tonight. Hannah, I think we talked before the show that people know you now. They know kind of where you came from, but maybe they don't know your full history. So, would you, if you're okay with it, just go ahead and give us kind of a full history of who Hannah Nixon is and was and will be.
I love it. Like I said earlier, you might find out something you don't like, so everybody hold their horses. But I originally grew up in northwestern Ohio on a small diversified livestock and crop operation. My family still resides there, still runs a small cow-calf herd and then a commercial feedlot, which I was really active on when I was home. We grew up showing livestock like a lot of livestock families do. And then I always tell everybody I was never very talented when it came to athletics, like most of the people my age in my area. And so I spent a lot of time doing livestock judging and 4-H and FFA. And because of that, I ended up going and judging in college, which is how I ended up coming west for the first time. So I judged at a 2-year school called Butler Community College in El Dorado, Kansas. And then I went from there to Kansas State University and finished out my judging career there and kind of sparked an interest in meat science, actually. I worked for the graduate group there and helped out with some current studies that they had going on and sparked an interest as it relates to, educating the consumer and things on those lines. So still very interested in communications and marketing, but kind of apt to want to understand the technical side as well because I think that's so valuable. So from K-State, I ended up going to Texas Tech, which is how I finally came down here to West Texas. And I completed my master's degree in meat science. And once I finished that, while I was working on that, I found my husband. And so that's how I stayed in West Texas. We currently raise Simmental and Red Angus cattle and here with his family, along with farm a fair bit of cotton ground. But after I graduated from school, I kind of had a separation of pathways, whether I wanted to stay on that more technical side of meat science or if I wanted to go with my more passionate route, which was more on the marketing and communication side, and really being able to create visuals that help people understand messaging. And so that's still what I'm very passionate about and what I feel very fortunate to be doing at Beefmaster. But previous to Beefmaster, I was working for Angus. So I'm real excited to be part of the Beefmaster family now.
Came to the light side. Nice.
Well, we're super excited to have you.
I appreciate it. I do.
Yeah, and kind of talking about committee meetings, I know we talked a little bit about this before, but in a previous episode, but I think you really got everybody excited when you showed, especially that little snippet video that you had, told them your plans, kind of where you wanted to see this breed go as far as marketing. And there were just lots. You could tell we walked out of that PR and advertising meeting and everybody that was there was just, they were pumped up. They're ready to go. And that's what we need. We need Beefmaster breeders that are excited, that are ready to go, and that want to see the future of this grow.
I'd like to think I match that excitement too. I mean, the only direction to go is forward, and I think that there's so many cool things that we can do for this breed and the breeders. And we talked a little bit about committees and getting involved, but I will say, as having some experience with previous breed associations, it's very cool to see a breed where you have so many people that are so active and so passionate about moving the breed forward that they're so involved, whether it's from committees or even going to junior nationals a few weeks ago and just seeing how the community works together. I think it's very unique and something that y'all should be really proud of.
I think so. I'm glad to hear that, and I guess just to ask a little bit about, you don't have to reveal everything, but what are some ideas that you have kind of going forward that you might want to share with the audience?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I will say my ideas are big and beyond, right? There's a long list, but as of now, I keep telling Lance that I'm kind of in audit mode. So, when I got started at BBU, there was a lot of figuring out where we're sitting and what's the foundation look like, right? We can't build a house if we don't have the foundation in check. And so, checking what our current status is of people that are active on our website, or what does our mailing list look like, and how active are folks and wanting to be able to retain messages through print marketing, those sorts of things. And so understanding the audience and how they prefer to get their messages is so huge. And so coming in as somebody new who didn't grow up breeding beef masters, I think that's incredibly valuable to understand the best way to get their news to them. And so on top of that, we have a lot of new ideas, like finding new ways to connect breeders and give them their news, whether it's through e-newsletters, and putting that kind of information out on a monthly basis, or even trying to reinvigorate publications like the Payweight and trying to bring a new face to that with the same kind of message that there was before, and making sure that we're consistent, not completely leaving the purpose in the rear view mirror, but keeping that purpose and maybe just giving a little bit of a facelift to a lot of things.
Yeah, I think that's important because you've got to keep it fresh, new in people's faces, especially the commercial cattlemen. I know around here we do finally have some commercial guys that are starting to try some of our Beefmaster bulls, and whether they're coming from down the road here or our farm, it doesn't matter to me, because at the end of the day, we're getting Beefmaster bulls out there, and marketing that is just going to help it, more and more and more. And once these guys, when I say that, once these commercial folks realize just how good that is, that's going to make your job a lot easier, because then we're just trying to keep growing that. I feel like the hardest part is kind of breaking into it, especially in
That's
this
right.
in this business. But once you do
Absolutely.
that, it kind of becomes a little bit easier. Not necessarily, putting it on coast is a bad word, but um, it does make it a little easier to not have to kind of throw it in people's faces so much, maybe as much as maybe that's what I'm trying to say there.
No, no, that's fair. And I think that that's kind of a common thought too on marketing in general is, everybody just wants the word to be loud and proud and going to everybody, right? But what I'm particularly passionate about is effective marketing and using the data in order to get the right kind of results. And so I'm excited about being able to, again, understand our audience a bit better. But I think, like you said, definitely trying to get the breed in front of commercial cattlemen more, and especially the advantages that the breed can bring to commercial cattlemen in that mix is huge. And I can see that from an outsider's perspective, and I don't think that message is hard to tell. But like you said, it's getting it in front of the right people.
Yeah, I really like, I know you kind of mentioned that too in your presentation at the summer meeting, but how you mentioned a little bit more targeted type of media and advertising to kind of get to those right folks. I think that's something maybe we've been missing is something like that, and having the expertise behind it to get it done. So definitely excited about what you got coming up.
I am too. I think it'll be good. And we talk a lot about outreach and the message that we want to put outside of BBU, but I think even as important is the messaging that we're keeping within our membership and continuing to educate members and bring folks together on topics, whether it's, New World Screwworm or what have you. And so making sure that we're, keeping the membership informed and bringing them together, I think is equally as valuable.
Yeah, and I think even what you said, like the screwworm deal, you know, getting like you said, getting that out there, keeping the breeders informed. I think that means a lot to a lot of people, especially in the breed, um, because it shows not that you don't care, but it does show that hey, we're here, we're on top of it. Here's what we know so far. Here's what here's what you can do to kind of help us. So that's really cool that you mentioned that too.
Absolutely.
Kind of going into so maybe if we're talking a newer breeder, that's never really sold anything. Let's just take the brand new breeder very first off. What are some tips you might would give? Just maybe a handful of tips you might would give of, all right, where do I need to start my marketing journey? I have my goals. I have my cattle. Now, kind of where do I go to kind of get my name out there to kind of do that kind of stuff before I even go to a sale?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's a lot of different directions you can go, and obviously everyone spends a lot of time online, so they know there's a ton of options. And I think that's what overwhelms folks, especially newer breeders, right? There's so many different answers. Which direction do you go? But I think kind of the answer lies within that. Be online, be accessible to potential customers. I know some people don't take Facebook very seriously, but talk about a really excellent way to put your brand out there that's free to you. A lot of people think that you need to start out your ranch or your operation or whatever it is with a full-blown website and getting mailers out there and all of that. But cattlemen have a lot of background costs, and so marketing is usually the one of those things that falls to the wayside. Not a lot of folks are thinking about, okay, this is how much I need to put into hosting a website, and this is how much I need to set aside in order to send all these flyers out. And not many people are thinking about that. And when they do finally realize the cost that's behind that, it makes our marketing even more overwhelming. And so I really encourage folks to start easy and work on that messaging that you want to stand behind. Like, what's the point of your operation? What are your goals, and what makes you different for your customers? What makes you a source for good cattle? What kind of cattle are you selling? And try to make that clear on whatever platform you choose to be on. But like I said, I think Facebook really serves an excellent purpose of being a free platform that people can get on super easy. Almost everybody's on it. And, there's even a messaging base on there and a place where you can put your phone number so that you can have a conversation with that person as well.
Yeah, I really like that. Something we did when we first started is we got caps made, hats with our brand, and it says G&M Cattle Company. And even just around here, people know that now when they see it because we just started giving them to people. It cost some money, but as soon as we got them, we probably bought, I don't know, 2 dozen and went through 2 dozen just like that. I mean, just with a snap of a finger. And you know, people now, even in the breed, you go places you wear, if you wear that or wear something with that on it, people start recognizing it. And just something that easy, sure, it does cost some money, but something that easy gets to me, so much brand and name recognition that, you know, you wouldn't have to spend that kind of money. Jared, was that last year, Jared, you made those flyers?
Yeah, I thought it was maybe a neat idea. I don't know. I
That's
made some
cool.
little
Yeah.
postcards and sent them in the mail with some of our upcoming sales that we got and some cattle. I took pictures of my own cattle and put on there.
I think that's
I got a lot of phone calls out of it. It was kind of surprising. They called and just wanted to talk to me about taking for sending them a card and all that. So I mean, it's kind of neat.
I think that's huge, the whole messaging circle, right? And it's kind of like anything that you want to start is you just have to start, right? And I think a lot of people are a little scared to put their brand on a hat or on a mailer, right? Because it's kind of like that step in the direction like, okay, we're really kicking this off. We're really standing behind what we're doing here. And It's exciting, but for new breeders and as a person that's, young in the business, I know how it feels to be a little bit scared to get started. But that brand recognition is so huge. And whether you're ready to start or not, it's important to put your name on top of what you're doing and stand behind it. And so just like both of y'all did with the mailer or with the caps, it's important to do that and make sure folks know what you're doing.
Well, and it was funny, you say that about kind of putting your name out there and your brand. You know, when we first started and got those hats, the first thing I said was, "Is anybody even going to want one of these?" My wife said, "Look around. Everybody loves a free hat. They don't care what's on it.
That's
Especially
right.
around our place. These old farmers, these guys, man, they don't care. They just want a free hat. That's all they care about." So it really worked out. And I mean, even we can even take this podcast when we first started. Is anybody even going to listen to this? Well, thankfully, somebody started listening to it. So it was great. But
Well, it's a nervous wreck.
yeah, yes, we were a nervous wreck. I remember Jared, we were talking about it. I said, do we get a guest? He said, let's do 2 episodes to see if anybody's even going to listen first. So we did that, and then it's all, I guess, history after that. We were nervous. We were a nervous wreck. So
Well, y'all have done a heck of a job.
it was awesome. I think Lance, he had a visitor over there a second ago. Oh, he's
Or has he
muted.
fallen asleep on us?
Did he fall asleep on us? No, he's muted. All this is going into episode 2, by the way.
It's those technical difficulties.
They're going swimming.
Oh, hey, that sounds fun.
Better grab your swim trunks, pal.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But no, I mean, I think, marketing is, like you said, a lot of times one of those things that kind of does get put to the wayside, and it shouldn't be. I think it should be in the forefront, just like kind of what we're doing here.
Yeah,
Yeah. Go ahead.
it's easy to push it off, I think, because it's overwhelming for folks, and especially as technology continues to get more and more complicated every day, I think that it makes it even more overwhelming. And so, really, I would definitely stress that message that starting is already a huge step in the right direction. And a lot of folks get mixed up in whether they should spend more on print marketing or digital marketing, and the truth is, if in a perfect world, you're going to have a solid balance of both of those things. We're part of a traditional industry, and all of us find a lot of value in holding something in our hands and being able to have an experience with, whether it's a marketing piece or an informational piece, any of those things. And so I always tell people, don't ever throw print out the window because it's still incredibly important, especially in an industry like ours. But I think if you're not grabbing onto some of the new things as well, you're going to get left behind. And so, I'm not trying to overwhelm anybody, but I think taking a step in the right direction is the right way to go. And then trying to have a solid mix of both print marketing and digital marketing.
I agree 100%. Just kind of mentioned, your marketing is your voice that you're, let the world know that you're in business and what you have. So, I mean, if you don't share it, who knows that you're out there, so.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe kind of finishing up this conversation before we move to the next subject, could you give us and maybe give the listeners sort of an idea of where you see BBU marketing a few years from now? Maybe a 5-year outlook or something like that.
Absolutely. I mean, it gets me jazzed up just thinking about it, to be honest. And, something that makes me really passionate, especially as someone who grew up in agriculture and, understands the importance of sharing your message. I'm really passionate about working with breeders to do that to the best of their ability, taking out some of the scare of, well, it's so costly, well, it's so complicated. I could never do this myself, but I'm gonna try because we're part of an industry where we all have a bit of gumption to try to figure some stuff out on our own, and that gets me fired up. And I personally think that anybody who wants to try to learn to do something new to try to benefit their operation is incredibly important. And so I get passionate about trying to help breeders market their own brand and figuring out easy ways for them to get a step in the direction of just putting their name out there. So looking at kind of the future of BBU, that's part of my passion. Of course, I want to continue to push the Beef Master message and continue to get the breed out there as a whole. But I'd also like to help individual breeders. It's something that I'm passionate about and helping them find new ways to market their operation. And I'll be speaking about that a little bit at convention too. I'm part of one of the sessions that will talk about marketing yourself. And so we can talk about that a little bit more if y'all want to listen to me talk any longer. But as far as the future of BBU goes, I want to help breeders and also offer more services for them to market themselves, but especially market themselves effectively. And that all goes back to using data to basically prove that marketing is effective. Because a lot of times, a lot of people get discouraged by the fact that you're putting a message out there and you don't know if it's working. You don't know if anybody's really resonating with it. But I'm passionate about marketing where you can actually see results and you can deliver numbers behind those results. And so kind of combining a bit of that technical and creative mindset of mine with that.
A lot. That's what's going to happen. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's been a really good conversation. I guess we'll get to the announcement now that everybody's probably been anxiously waiting, and they hopefully not fast forwarded to hear this. So, Jared and I are stepping away from the podcast after much conversation and deliberation with each other. We have done this for I guess it's been almost 4 years, right, Jared?
It's finishing up our 4th year by the end of the year. So
yeah, so we almost made it to 4.
yeah, we was close.
We went every other week for 3.5 years and didn't miss an. We actually looked back and we had never missed an episode, and that was pretty cool because we had juggled vacations and family time and work and cows and you name it. It's not going away. The next part of that big announcement is BBU is offered and they would like to take it over. We are very excited about this. We have been talking about this for a couple months now, and it's the right time. I feel like I know at least with my side of the world with a growing family, little girl's she's 4 now, so I've done this her whole life. That's all she knows is when I go shut the door, she says, "Well, Daddy's got a podcast he's got to do." So, with that and with work and growing our herd and trying to work some marketing there a little more, it's just become a little more than I think Jared and I both can handle. I'm not speaking for you, Jared, but I know
No, I agree
in
with
what
you.
we've talked about. And it was great timing, I think, as well, with Hannah and Dr. Bauer. I actually reached out to Lance when we got to talking about it, and I said, "Hey, I think we're gonna try to probably wind this down." And it really broke my heart to say that because I feel like we've um, talked about a lot of things, met a lot of new people. I've sure learned a lot.
Yeah,
But Lance
been
said,
a lot.
he said, don't quit quite yet. He said, let's talk about it. So, really excited that BB is going to be taking this over. This is actually Jared and I's last episode hosting, unless Hannah needs us again, which we have told her we would graciously come back on and anytime.
I'll need y'all forever.
We are very excited. This is a very positive thing. I think this is going to really help move the breed even more forward, a lot more than what Jared and I could have ever done, just because of the resources, the funding, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's a good time to transition with Hannah coming. I mean, we're excited about what she's going to do with BBU, and she's got the skill set to move it forward, and we're excited about that. It's interesting how the timing kind of played out because we had started talking about it, and it all just kind of flowed together. But just kind of echoing what Josh has said, well, I've really enjoyed it. I mean, I've learned a lot. I've actually enjoyed a lot of conversations with our listeners that talk with us, and I say listeners, they're part of the breed and friends and throughout the breed. But I've always enjoyed that and having our guest on and learning so much Just kind of like reminiscing about getting started. We were scared to death how what people were going to think, and things like that when you put something out here like this, and it was accepted well. I definitely will say we never were perfect with any of it. We probably said some funny stuff and some stuff people think, what in the world was that? But I really enjoyed it and enjoyed the conversations, and we hope people got a lot out of it. And I think now is the time for a good, like we've talked about, a good refresh. Hannah's going to be able to do that, and I think this is exactly what this podcast needs. And BBU, being on the board of directors, we've always discussed being a little bit more open with the breeders, and I think this is a good chance to have that happen and have them take this to the next level and make it fit to where the breeders can have constant access to what's going on with BBU and in a fashion of on a podcast.
Yeah, and
We're
thank
so
you to the
excited
listeners.
about it too.
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead,
Hal.
Josh.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
No, I'm so excited about it. I mean, just as excited as I am to have joined BBU, I think that this is an awesome pathway that we're going to be able to connect to things, such an interest for, the breed, but also to keep folks informed on what's going on with BBU and tie that together in a graceful way. And so I'm stoked to do that, but it'll definitely be a tough act to follow with you guys because you've done such a good job, but I'm excited.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good time. Lance, you look excited over there.
I am. Hey, so we talked that first time, and the funny thing is, Hannah and I talked about some long-term goals when she first came on, and she had mentioned a podcast, and y'all have done such a great job in getting a positive message out about the breed. And I was like, well, we got a podcast already going. And then you came to me with that, and I was like, okay, now let's see what we can make work. Because y'all have done such a great job getting this out. I think we've told this story several times on the podcast. I think the first time y'all called me, I was a little nervous because it was going to be your first podcast. I didn't know exactly what it was going to be, and I didn't want to get into anything, and so I turned it down. And but I'm glad I've been on. I don't know how many times
But
now,
lots of
but
times.
A bunch.
but I think this is going to be great. And the partnership that we're going to maintain with y'all. Josh, you serve on our beef board. Jared, you serve on the BBU board. I mean, we've got y'all active. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. Hannah and I have talked about it. She and I will probably co-host it, and she'll do the really creative stuff because you don't want me doing that.
To kind of go forward on that first conversation, I'll never forget it, Lance. I'll never forget it. I talked to Jared, and Jared said, just call him, see if he would come on, to get us a little bit of somebody on there that everybody knows. And I'm telling you, we started in 19 in the breed, so I'm nervous. I don't know who I'm calling at the in the office, and I call and talk to Lance, and Lance goes, well, I just don't know a lot about a lot of this technical stuff, and I think I better just hold off. And I'll never forget. I was like, all right, and my balloon went from this to this real fast. But once we got it going, and it was which is very understandable, Lance, because you didn't know us, you didn't know what we were about, how this was going to go. I completely get it. It's funny now. Um, I do still think about that every once in a while when I do think about the podcast. I think about that, our kind of where we started, and it's a funny story, and I'm glad it's come to what it has. I want to thank. I was going to take a minute. I want to thank all the listeners for supporting us, all the sponsors that we've had. I mean, we never thought anybody would want to sponsor this show. We thought we'd have to pay people to sponsor it. So it's really awesome for all of you to have done so. I will say this to the sponsors: you will have your sponsor spots through the end of the year. We've talked about that. Everything's good to go there. It's all going to stay the same. But I have built some lifelong friendships because of this, and well, I didn't think I was gonna get emotional. Sorry.
You all right, buddy?
Y'all worked super hard to build this up, and it's been great. It's been a huge asset to this breed. I will tell y'all that. I mean, I've got
Yeah.
calls from outside the breed. Hey, y'all are talking about this. Hey, y'all are talking about this. And I've met people from outside the breed that just found the podcast listening to cattle podcasts
Yeah.
and met them, and they've grown an interest in Beefmasters. So, I mean, y'all have done an outstanding job, and if y'all were to continue, we'd support you 110%, and I'm glad we have this partnership and we can move forward this way as well.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
we appreciate that, and like I said, I know, you know, like Josh been a little. I mean, it's been a big part of our lives for the last,
Yeah.
you know, might as well say 4 years. I mean, you take every 2 weeks. You don't think about how often that is, but that's pretty regular, and it takes a little bit of time to put it together. And you know, Josh, he does a lot of the edit. Well, I say a lot. He did all the editing and things like that. So he has a lot more tied to it than I do with that. But man, but it's been fun. We've enjoyed it, and like I said, I think we've just come to a point where we think that it may be better to have a refresh, and we're excited about that. And like Josh has mentioned, we've talked about it a lot. You know, we're just thankful that we did enough impact that we want somebody's willing to carry it forward and keep it going, you know, so we can always look back and say, well, hey, we started that thing, you know, and when it's 10 years from now and it's still going, we can say, well, we started that, you know.
Yeah.
So
I think that's what means the most to me is that, we done something that can keep going. Sorry, everybody. I don't get emotional. I'm not an emotional person. So I don't understand where that comes from. So I'm sorry about
Got
that.
it
But
recorded. We already know the
yeah,
opposite.
it's already done now. Yep. Yep.
yeah.
No, but it's that has been a big part of our life. And it's but this is gonna be a really fun time going forward. We're gonna support y'all 100%. I'm gonna listen to every single episode. I can't wait to hear them. And I'm really excited to see what the future of this thing holds.
Well, y'all definitely won't be strangers. I won't let you off the hook that easily. But I have a pretty serious follow-up question. Are y'all still gonna FaceTime each other every 2 weeks?
No,
Well,
we
I
talk
don't
every
know
day
about
anyway.
that.
Set up a
Yeah,
Zoom meeting?
yeah. We do.
No, it's gonna be
We
easier. We can just hit dial on the phone that way.
yeah,
There you
we
go.
we do talk on the regular though. It's a
We
pretty
do.
regular,
We do.
yeah.
We talk every
And
day,
that's
and
that's another thing. I mean, we met, and I don't know, we've become pretty good friends, but we really become friends after this, having
yeah,
talk, and we talk. Man, we talk on the regular, not talking about the podcast. So,
I
but
don't
it's
know
been
how we
good.
don't run out of stuff to talk about, honestly. But
That's what my wife always says. How y'all keep talking about cows all the time?
that's some changes every day. So
Y'all's
uh,
friendship definitely shows through the way that y'all communicate. And I mean, when first got to actually meet you guys at board meetings, I was, of course, delighted to meet the both of you. But it was clear that you guys have set up such an awesome podcast because you have such great banner and you guys get along so well. And I think that's very unique. If I can keep Lance awake, I'll try to continue with some of that.
yeah, he's getting comfortable over there. I think he's in the bed.
Put me in an actual chair. I'll be better.
Oh well, that was a big episode. It's been a blast. It really has, and we'll like we said, we're going to support y'all 110%. This is a positive thing, and I hope everybody else sees it as a positive change because it's fantastic, and this is the way I think a good way to continue moving the breed forward, and it's going to be a good time, and I can't wait to listen and can't wait to hear y'all talk, and we're excited. So um, that might be our longest episode that we've done.
It could be. I don't know. I don't know. There's been a couple long ones on there with Park and all them too. I don't know.
Oh, well, I'll have to look at the timing and see.
Yeah.
But instead of what we always say is we'll see everybody on the next episode. I'm gonna let Hannah say that this time.
Oh gosh, I didn't even think about what I'd want to say for the sign off. Man, okay, well, I can promise folks if this one's bad, I'll get better from here forward. But we'll see you guys on the next episode, Lance and I, and hopefully we'll see Josh and Jared again real soon.
Thank y'all.
All righty.
Thank y'all.
Well, we want to thank everybody for listening to the Beefmaster Banner podcast. Please know that we are on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and we are on YouTube. Just search Beefmaster Banner. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. We love hearing from you, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.